A human rights group says the United Nations is not doing enough to protect civilians in Sudan's war. In the past month, a powerful paramilitary force has gone on a rampage, killing dozens of people and raping women and girls. Human Rights Watch says the crimes will stop only when met with a strong global response. The war between Sudan's military and the paramilitary group has been raging for more than 18 months, driving 1 million people from their homes and pushing part of the country into a famine. For analysis now, we turn to Alberto Fernandez, a former U.S. diplomat and a contributor for EWTN News. He spent 2 years working in Sudan. Ambassador Fernandez, great to be with you today. A lot to get to here, but first, tell us more about the situation right now in Sudan and about the latest attack by the Rapid Support Forces on Saturday.
Well, unfortunately, Sudan is the world's worst or largest humanitarian crisis. We hear a lot about Gaza or Lebanon or Ukraine, but in terms of sheer size and number, Sudan is the worst. What's happened most recently is a series of really violent, brutal attacks by the Rapid Support Forces in a specific part of Sudan, which has caught the world's attention. But that kind of stuff has been happening here and there, on and off, by the Rapid Support Force and actually by the Army as well over the last, since the beginning of the wars in April of 2023.
Yeah, and what caused this paramilitary group to increase its attacks?
Well, the paramilitary group, by its very nature, it's a predatory force that was set up by the previous regime with the help of the army. So the army and the RSF were partners in crime for many years. But the RSF was set up as a group of raiders, of militias, of ethnically based tribesmen who were unleashed against adversaries. And the latest bout of violence, this brutality that we've seen, has an ethnic or tribal dimension as well, which accounts for part of the brutality.
Yeah, and as we mentioned, the Human Rights Group says a strong global response is needed. I want to talk more about that. I know the UN has issued sanctions against 2 generals as part of that paramilitary group, as well as the U.S. Treasury. But what has that actually done?
Well, to be frank, it hasn't done a lot. The sanctions in Sudan is an old story. This is a country that's been sanctioned many times by the West, by the United States. Remember, they used to be on our terrorism list and lots of other lists. So this is a problem, is the sanctions are kind of a slap on the wrist, especially when you have an active war situation.
Yeah, and what would you like to see world leaders do in this situation? How should they address this situation in Sudan?
I mean, the problem is when we talk about peacekeepers and all of that, that's somewhat unrealistic given the current world scenario. Certainly what is needed is, at the very least, a ceasefire, a humanitarian ceasefire. The Sudanese people in the area of Wad Madani and Sinar and all of that, but in other places as well. For example, Human Rights Watch and others focus on this specific area where there's some violence, but there's another area in Darfur, city of 2 million people, which is seeing tremendous violence now. So there are no easy solutions, but certainly working for a humanitarian pause or ceasefire, so at the very least hurting civilians in Sudan can get help and can get food and can get medical assistance, is at least one half step that we could do.
Yeah, Ambassador, we're almost out of time here, but as you know, we have a new president-elect. What would you like to see this new administration do in the future when it comes to Sudan?
Well, I'm optimistic that the administration will realize that Africa is an important place in the world, and certainly the U.S. has interests in that part of the world. And Sudan is a very large country geographically, and so we need to keep our eyes there and do what we can in the realm of the realistic, what can be realistically done, rather than kind of fantastic ideas that we're going to remake the world in our own image.
Well, sir, thank you so much for coming on and for your expertise. We appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you.